Hey guys! Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing my entire process of how I turned my original artwork into a print. So I have a cottage that I've been going up to ever since I was little, and there's an island called Chantry Island that's just off of the beach. It has this lighthouse and little house that are just so cute, and everyone who has a cottage near this area or has visited knows this island and loves it. It's the perfect addition to the horizon line and just makes every sunset and beach view that much better. I have countless photos of it and I love it so much. It's so beautiful. I've been interested in making prints of my artwork for a while now, and I thought it would be really cool to make an original artwork of this landscape and have a sale up at my cottage so people have a piece of one of the most beautiful parts about our cottage town. So with that being said, let's get right into my printmaking process. Since I was going to be making an original piece, I started off with some thumbnail drawings. I got some images off of Google of the island to use for reference. I had a bunch of variations for vantage points and backgrounds that I wanted to test. The two different vantage points I had were up close, far away, and the two backgrounds would either be sunset or daytime. So that gave me 4 different combinations: far away daytime, close up sunset, far away sunset, and close up daytime. I made a thumbnail drawing of each of them using my oil pastels, and then I had to decide which one would become the final design. After some family votes and contemplating, I ultimately ended up choosing the close-up sunset. When I originally envisioned this artwork, this was kind of the composition I had in mind, but I still wanted to test all the others. I also surprisingly really liked the daytime far away, like how we would see it from the beach. But I decided against it because I wanted my artwork to give a vantage point that we don't always get to see when we're on the beach. Doing the closer perspective would also allow me to add the details of the buildings and trees that we can't really see when we're farther away. But maybe in the future I'll make another print of the island and do this vantage point. I swatched all the colors I used during these thumbnail sketches so that I could reference them for when I made my final piece. Then I got started on the good copy. I used a Canson Heritage hot press watercolor paper block. It's a nice thick paper, 300 GSM. Since it's hot press, it doesn't have too much of a tooth, but it still has a bit of texture, and I didn't find it difficult to work on with my pastels at all. I knew I wanted to make a 5x7 print, so I wanted to create the actual art piece on a bigger surface so I would be able to add more precise detail that would stay nice and sharp when I shrunk the image down to size. I did my initial sketch using my Faber-Castell Pit Pastel to draft out where everything was going to be on the page. Then I started using my oil pastels. For this piece, I'm mainly using my Huawan oil pastels along with the Munggyo Gallery and Van Gogh oil pastels. I just got these new Huawan oil pastels and they were amazing for this piece, both for their colors and consistency. I made a video unboxing, reviewing, and demoing them, so I'll link it in the description. Now I'll let you sit back and relax so you can watch me draw the art piece. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back once it's finished to explain the rest of the process. If you're interested in my oil pastel process or looking for any tips, I have lots of other videos on my channel where I talk about that, so I'll also link those in the description box below. And here is my finished piece. I'm super happy with how it turned out. I love the colors and the composition. It turned out even better than I had hoped. My plan for the original is to frame it and put it up in my own cottage. Then it was time to figure out how to digitalize my artwork. I removed the piece of paper from the block and carefully put it into a folder to protect it while I transported it. I cover all my oil pastel works with tracing paper to help prevent smudging and transfer. Wax or parchment paper also work amazing. Now, if you watched my How I Started My Etsy video, you would have seen that I went to my library at my university and was able to scan my works for free, and it did an amazing job. So now that I'm home, I went and joined my public library, which also has free scanning services. So I went there to scan my work. As a side note, if you're ever going to scan, make sure to click the highest amount of DPI because it will create the sharpest image possible. Since my artwork had a lot of pastel and lighter colors, I had some issues here though. The scanner had a hard time picking them up and producing the image that I wanted. I tried playing with a bunch of different settings, but I couldn't really get it quite right. And you can see here what I mean. The scan just didn't have the quality or vibrance of colors that I was looking for. It just wasn't really what I envisioned. So I ultimately didn't end up using these scans, but I wanted to keep it in to show everything that I did along the way. However, I still 100% recommend trying out your local library scanner because it really is an amazing service that's free to use. I brought my sketchbook with me and also scanned some other works of mine while I was there, and as you can see, they turned out amazing because the colors were more vibrant. Anyways, I ended up just using my phone to take a photo of my artwork. I made sure I was in a really well lit area so the colors would come off clean. I made some edits on my phone to adjust the brightness and the colors, and then I sent it to my MacBook for further editing. So I did the editing on my MacBook just using the preview page. You can do a lot without having editing software. I've become quite good at removing backgrounds and getting used to the tools already built into my MacBook. The main ones I use are the transparency selector, called the Instant Alpha, and the lasso selection to remove backgrounds from my images. You can look up how to do this stuff really easily on Google. I ended up doing a bunch of iterations, going back and forth, removing more and more each round, transferring it into a document each time so I could see what the prints would look like. I cleaned up the edges until I was happy. I put my final design into a PDF and then headed to Staples to print off some prototypes. They have self-serve machines which are really easy to use, as well as behind-the-counter services if you want it on better paper. At Staples, they use the same inks in all their printers, so by printing these prototypes, I knew I would be able to accurately see how the image would turn out on my prints. Once I had them printed, I used this 5x7 cutout and used my window as kind of a light box so I could align the print up properly so the spacing would be right. I marked each edge and then I cut them out. In one of my final designs, I indicated where I would write the title of my print and put my signature so I could space it out properly. I then used this as a guideline to add my handwritten title and signature, and then my prototype was complete. I'm so happy with how it turned out. The colors are really vibrant and all the detail shows up really crisp and clear. I love how you can see the texture of the oil pastels in it. Then it was time to order my prints. For all of the products I've been making, I've been sticking to Staples. They have amazing and quick services for great prices, and their quality is always consistent with good customer service. You can design your own postcard through their site on Canva, so I uploaded my image into the template and chose my materials. I chose mine to be premium matte, which uses 130-pound paper, so a really nice thick cardstock. I ordered them for pickup in store so that I could save some shipping costs, and they usually arrive in around 5 to 10 business days. Then I went to Staples and picked up my final prints. I was really happy with them, and it was so satisfying to hold the final product and see my vision come to life. I really loved the look of them, the colors, and how it still looks like an artwork. Lastly, all I had to do was title and sign my prints, and they were ready for sale. I'm hopeful to sell to a bunch of people at my cottage. I've done a lot to prepare and get everything ready for the sale, so I'm really excited to be able to share these with everyone. By the time this is posted, the sale will be over, but if you came, thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy your print. So that is my entire process of how I created this original artwork of Chantry Island and turned it into a print. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the process. I had a lot of fun throughout the whole thing, and I'm so happy with how the final product came out. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more art content, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, happy creating.